I never imagined a single phone call could unravel my world, but that's exactly what happened on a crisp Saturday morning in my cozy Denver apartment. The sun streamed through my window, casting golden patches on my coffee table, where my mug steamed beside a half-read novel. I was savoring the quiet, lost in the rhythm of a perfect weekend when my phone buzzed Mom's name glowing on the screen. I answered with a grin, expecting her usual chatter about grocery lists or Dad's latest business venture. Instead, her voice carried a strange, formal edge that made my stomach twist before she even spoke my name. Peyton. Honey, she began, her tone clipped. Your father and I love you very much. You know that? I sat up, clutching my mug tightly. What's going on, Mom? My heart thudded as she hesitated, then plunged into the news. Dad's 60th birthday celebration, planned for next weekend at the upscale Riverside restaurant, was having its guest list refined. I'd had the date circled in red on my kitchen calendar for months, a milestone I'd been eager to celebrate. We're making some cuts, she said, her words sharp as glass. Important business contacts are coming, and we've decided it's best if you don't attend this time. The mug nearly slipped from my hands. Excuse me, I managed, my voice thin. She rushed on as if speed could soften the blow. We see you all the time, Peyton. This is about your father's business. We'll have you over for a barbecue later, okay? My pulse roared in my ears. Are Jake and Melanie still invited? I asked, naming my older siblings. A pause. Well, yes, she admitted. But they're not Dad's business partners either. I snapped sharper than I meant. Peyton, you're so quiet at parties, she said, as if that justified it. You prefer your privacy, don't you? Before I could respond, Dad's voice boomed through the speaker, gruff and impatient. Peyton, be reasonable. Your brother and sister need to network. One of them will take over the company someday. The truth hit like a slap. I wasn't part of their vision. Not now, not ever. My role in the family was ornamental, expendable. Without another word, I ended the call, my thumb trembling on the screen. The apartment felt too small, the air too thick. I stared at the calendar, the red circle mocking me. My coffee had gone cold, mirroring the chill settling in my chest. They'd chosen strangers, business associates over me, their daughter. The betrayal stung deeper than I could name a wound that whispered I wasn't enough. I sat frozen, the weight of their words pressing down, wondering how a family could make you feel so invisible. The sting of my parents' rejection lingered like a bruise, but by mid-morning, a spark of defiance flickered in me. Daring to burn brighter, I was still reeling, curled on my couch in my Denver apartment, when I realized I couldn't just sit here letting their words define me. My phone felt heavy in my hand, but I dialed Lisa, my best friend whose voice was a lifeline. They did what she exploded when I recounted the call, her outrage, a balm to my raw nerves. As she ranted, my gaze drifted to the window and I froze. There in the courtyard below gleamed a black SUV, its massive red bow glinting in the sunlight. A gift I'd spent 2 years saving for, meant for Dad's birthday. I'd taken extra shifts, skipped vacations, and haggled with the dealership to make it perfect. Now it stood as a monument to my naivety, and something inside me snapped. Lisa, I'll call you back. I said, a plan forming like a gathering storm. I dialed my boss Mark at the architectural firm where I'd been grinding away on the West Side project. Mark, can I take my vacation time starting Monday? 2 weeks, I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. Perfect timing. He replied, his tone warm. You just wrapped up West Side. Take the break. Peyton, relief surged through me. Next, I called Lisa again. Can you come over now? Bring your camera gear. I'm keeping the SUV and we're going on a road trip. Her squeal of excitement nearly deafened me. I'm there in 40. Lisa arrived, her arms laden with photography equipment, her eyes widening at the SUV. That's what you got for your dad? It's gorgeous, she said, circling it like a kid at a car show. Was for him. I corrected, a wry smile tugging at my lips. Now it's mine tomorrow. We're driving it across the country. Lisa's face lit up. Seriously, I'll bring my professional gear, shoot landscapes for my portfolio. I nodded, the idea crystallizing. You shoot, I'll drive. No thinking about my family. She grabbed her camera. First, let's get shots of you with your new ride. For an hour, we played models and photographers in the courtyard. I posed beside the SUV, leaning against its sleek frame, sitting on the hood. Sunglasses perched on my nose. Lisa's camera clicked, capturing my defiance in every frame. I chose the best shot, me standing tall, hand on hip, looking like I owned the world, and posted it on Instagram. The caption was sharp, deliberate. This was supposed to be a gift, but when someone doesn't want you at their party, you keep the presents. Comments flooded in, friends demanding details, emojis of shock, but I ignored them. A quiet satisfaction warming me. My phone rang an hour later. Mom's name flashing. "Peyton, what are you doing?" she demanded, her voice, a mix of fury and panic. "Take that post down. You're embarrassing us." I could hear her shift to a sweeter tone, manipulative as ever. "We've reconsidered. We'd love for you to come to the party and bring that lovely gift." I laughed softly, but coldly. "No thanks, Mom. I've got plans. And the car's mine now?" I hung up before she could argue, my heart racing but resolute. Lisa, sorting her camera gear, raised an eyebrow. "You okay?" I nodded, feeling the weight of my choice settle. "Pack tonight," I told her. "We leave at dawn." As I stood by the SUV that evening, its keys heavy in my hand, I felt a shift. This wasn't just about a car or a trip. It was about reclaiming my worth, refusing to be the afterthought in my own family. The road ahead promised freedom, and for the first time since that morning's call, I felt ready to claim it. Dawn broke over Denver like a promise, painting the sky in hues of peach and gold as I slid into the driver's seat of my SUV, its leather interior still carrying that intoxicating new car scent. Lisa, bleary-eyed but buzzing with excitement, tossed her suitcases and camera gear into the trunk, her grin as wide as the open road ahead. Yesterday's defiance had ignited this journey, but now, with the city shrinking in my rearview mirror, I felt something new. Freedom sharp and exhilarating, urging me to outrun the ache of my family's rejection. As we hit the highway, the SUV purring beneath me, I wondered if 500 miles could mend a heart bruised by those who should have cherished it most. Lisa fiddled with her camera, mounting it on the dashboard to capture the sunrise spilling over the Rockies. "Eagle Ridge first," I suggested, my voice light, as if I could outpace the sting of Mom's last call. "Perfect," Lisa replied, already adjusting her lens. The miles melted away, the SUV handling every curve with a grace that made my chest swell with pride. This wasn't just a vehicle. It was my rebellion, my stake in a life I'd define. By noon, we'd crossed into Wyoming, the landscape unfurling in rolling hills and crystalline lakes. Eagle Ridge's overlook was breathtaking, a panorama of emerald slopes kissing a sapphire sky. Lisa leaped out, tripod in hand, her enthusiasm infectious. "Get in the shot, Peyton," she called, and I obliged, leaning against the SUV's hood, wind tousling my hair, feeling like I belonged to this moment, not my family's expectations. Lisa's camera clicked, freezing my newfound boldness in time. I selected a photo, me sunglasses glinting the vast vista behind me, and posted it on Instagram with a caption that cut like a quiet blade. "Some gifts are better appreciated on your terms." Notifications pinged, friends flooding my feed with questions, but I silenced my phone, savoring the open air. We drove onto Lakeside Point, its shimmering waters framed by ancient pines. Lisa worked her magic again, capturing me perched on the SUV, carefree in a way I hadn't felt in years. Another post, another caption. Finding my path, 1 mile at a time. Each photo was a declaration, a signal to my parents that I wasn't invisible, not anymore. That evening, as we grabbed burgers at a roadside diner, my phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Peyton, it's Robert Daniels," came a deep, familiar voice. My father's oldest friend, a towering figure in his construction empire, had always treated me with a warmth my parents rarely spared. "I saw your posts," he said, his tone serious. "What's going on?" I hesitated, then poured out the truth, the uninvitation, the business-first excuse, the SUV I'd kept. He listened, his silence heavy with judgment, not of me, but of them. "That's not right, Peyton," he said finally. "Enjoy your trip. Be safe." I hung up a knot, loosening in my chest, only to tighten again, when Mom called an hour later, her voice shrill. "Robert's not coming to the party. Peyton, he's our biggest investor, and you've stirred up trouble with your childish posts." I kept my tone even. I told the truth, Mom. That's all I ended the call. My hands steady the diner's neon glow reflecting my resolve. Lisa raised her milkshake to the road, she said, and I clinked my glass. Feeling the miles ahead beckon. The morning of Dad's 60th birthday, I woke in a Wyoming motel, the sun filtering through thin curtains, casting stripes across Lisa's sleeping form. A year ago, I'd pictured myself at Riverside Restaurant, toasting Dad with a smile, the SUV's keys in a velvet box. Now, 700 miles from Denver, that dream felt like a stranger's memory. Yet as I sipped bitter motel coffee, a quiet thrill pulsed through me. I was here carving my own story while my parents faced the consequences of their choice. Today wasn't about their celebration. It was about mine, etched in the trails of a national park and the click of Lisa's camera. We drove to Yellowstone, its geysers hissing and peaks piercing the sky. Lisa snapped photos of ancient trees and misty valleys, her excitement a steady anchor. I posed by the SUV at a lookout, the park's wild beauty framing me, and posted the shot with a caption that carried a subtle sting, celebrating what matters far from those who don't. My phone buzzed with likes, but I ignored them, focusing on the trail ahead. At noon, Mom called, her voice frayed. "Peyton, this has to stop," she said. "Pastor Williams called Dad, Robert told him everything, and now he's refusing to attend tonight, saying we lack family values." I couldn't suppress a laugh, sharp and unbidden. "So the pastor has better principles than you?" I asked. "This isn't funny," she snapped. "You've humiliated us." My voice hardened. "Humiliation is being told strangers matter more than your daughter." I hung up, my pulse racing, but a strange calm settled over me as Lisa and I hiked deeper into the park. That evening, in a hotel restaurant with checkered tablecloths, I gave in to curiosity and opened Melanie's Instagram. The photos hit harder than I expected. Riverside's banquet hall, meant for 100, held barely 15 people. Mom's smile was tight, Dad's eyes distant, Melanie and Jake stiff beside them, everyone pretending joy in a room echoing with absence. Lisa peered over my shoulder. "That's sad," she said, but pity didn't come. Instead, a fierce vindication surged through me. They'd chosen business over me, and now their precious connections had vanished. I posted another photo from Yellowstone, me laughing by the SUV mountains behind me with the caption, "Some parties aren't worth attending." The notifications exploded, but I set my phone face down, savoring my steak and the clarity of my choice. Lisa and I planned tomorrow's route over dessert, the road trip weaving us tighter together. My family's drama felt distant, a storm I'd outrun. Yet as I scrolled through comments later, a message from Melanie flickered on my screen. "Dad's party is tonight. You should be here. Family is family." I showed Lisa, who snorted. "She didn't fight for you when they cut you out." I nodded, deleting the message. Yellowstone's vastness had reminded me of my resilience, and I wasn't turning back. As we clinked glasses, toasting to the journey, I realized I wasn't just escaping my family. I was building a life where I mattered 1 mile, 1 photo, 1 choice at a time. The Wyoming sky burned crimson as Lisa and I drove toward Montana, the SUV's tires humming a steady rhythm that couldn't quite drown out the unease creeping into my bones. Yellowstone's wild beauty had fortified my resolve, but a nagging instinct whispered that my family's anger was far from spent. 900 miles from Denver, I'd carved out a space where I felt whole, yet the weight of their rejection lingered, a shadow I couldn't outrun. As Lisa adjusted her camera lens, capturing the dusk, I gripped the wheel tighter, sensing the road trip's carefree spark dimming under the threat of what awaited back home. Aunt Patricia's call came as we checked into a modest motel off I-90, its neon sign flickering in the twilight. "Peyton," she said, her voice taut. "Your father's furious. He's talking about confronting you when you're back. Be careful, honey." My stomach churned, but I thanked her, hanging up with a resolve that felt like steel. I dialed Mrs. Grayson, my landlady, her warm tone, a comfort. "Mrs. Grayson, it's Peyton. I need a favor. My parents have keys to my apartment. Can you change the locks before I return?" I asked, explaining the family rift without diving into details. Consider it done, she assured me, and I'll tell the concierge to keep them out. Gratitude steadied me, a small victory in a battle I hadn't chosen. Days later, Charlie the concierge greeted us at a Utah rest stop where we'd paused to stretch our legs. I'd asked him to update me, and his call painted a chilling picture. 3 days ago, your brother and sister showed up with spray cans like they meant to tag your place. He said I stopped them per Mrs. Grayson's orders. My breath caught Jake and Melanie stooping to vandalism. And yesterday, Charlie continued, an older couple came angry. The man shouted about family loyalty. I threatened to call the cops, and they left my parents. The betrayal cut deeper, their audacity a stark reminder of their disregard. Thank you, Charlie, I said, my voice steady, despite the tremor in my hands. That night, as Lisa edited photos in our motel room, a text from Jake lit up my phone. You've ruined everything. Hope you're happy, I showed Lisa, who frowned. What's he mean? She asked. Probably Dad's business. I replied, a pang of guilt flickering before I smothered it. Their choices, not mine, had led to this. We posted fewer photos now, the road trip's initial defiance giving way to a quieter strength. At a Montana overlook, Lisa snapped a final shot of me by the SUV. The horizon vast behind me, I captioned it simply, choosing my peace. As we drove on, I felt the journey nearing its end, my heart ready to face Denver, not as their daughter, but as myself. Back in Denver, the city's skyline felt both familiar and foreign, as if the 200 miles I'd traveled had redrawn my place in it. The SUV glided into my apartment's lot, its gleam undimmed by dust and time. Charlie rushed out, confirming the locks were changed, his nod a quiet reassurance that my boundaries held. 3 months later, at 28, I'd woven a new rhythm into my life projects at the firm earned me praise. Lisa's photos from our trip adorned her studio, and my family's calls had faded to silence. Yet as I sipped coffee on my balcony one afternoon, a news alert froze me. Wilson Construction halts riverfront project amid funding. Woes. My father's empire was crumbling, and I wondered if I'd unwittingly swung the first blow. The article detailed how Robert Daniels' withdrawn investment had gutted Dad's ambitions, a loss tied to his risky ventures, and implicitly to me, guilt tangled with relief. A knot I couldn't untie. Aunt Claire's call that evening didn't help. Peyton, your vindictiveness is hurting your parents, she said, her voice icy. I took a breath, steadying myself. I wasn't vindictive, Aunt Claire. I shared the truth they chose business over me, not once, but always. I'm done being their afterthought. Her silence was deafening, her stiff reply. They deserve better, met with my own. So do I. I ended the call, the city lights below a canvas for my thoughts. Had I gone too far? The question gnawed, but I pushed it aside, unwilling to shrink again. That night, Mrs. Grayson called, her voice apologetic. Mr. Daniels is here, says he's your father's friend. My heart skipped, but I let him up. Robert stood at my door, his kind eyes softening the weight of his presence. Peyton, he said. Stepping into my modest apartment, I wanted to check on you. Over coffee, he explained his decision to pull funding, his words measured. Your father's been reckless for years, ignoring advice. What he did to you was the final straw, but not the only reason. Relief washed over me, his validation a balm. He blames you entirely, Robert added, almost rueful. Of course he does, I said, a bitter edge to my smile. But I admire you. Peyton, standing up wasn't easy. His words lingered, a quiet absolution as he left. The next day I drove the SUV to Lisa's studio, its curves catching the Colorado sun. Lisa greeted me with a grin, her prints of our trip now selling to decorators. You seem lighter, she observed, pouring wine. I am, I said, clinking glasses. I know I did right by myself. The SUV, once a gift for Dad, was now my emblem of independence, each mile driven a testament to my worth. We toasted to visibility and real family values, the kind built on respect, not obligation. My parents, Jake, Melanie, they might never see me as enough, but that was their loss, not mine. That night, I cruised along the coast windows, down the Pacific's salt air mingling with my music. The SUV hugged the road, a partner in my liberation. I thought of Robert's words, Lisa's loyalty, My colleagues' praise, people who saw me truly. My family's approval, once a tether was a chain I'd broken. The road trip, the posts, the locks, they weren't revenge but reclamation. A stand for a life where I wasn't less than. As Denver's lights faded behind me, I smiled the road ahead, mine to claim every mile a step toward a Peyton who mattered to herself most of all.